You know what? I think I'm going to start doing reading themes every month from now on because it really helped me focus on what I was going to read this month. Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Profitaku and welcome back to my channel for my March 2024 manga reading log. So because March is the third month of the year, I decided this would be the month of threes, reading series with 3 backlogged volumes on my TBR. And it really worked out great. I read some amazing things and I cannot wait to talk about it. Stay tuned. So the first set of 3 that I read this month was volumes 4, 5, and 6 of Satoshi Mizukami's Sengoku Youko, and this was such a phenomenal read and a fantastic wrap up to the first part of this manga series. I love the powers and I love the characters. I love the battle action sequences in here. They're phenomenally drawn. The only problem I had with this ending to the arc was the pacing of it and how our characters and our teams kind of clashed together, and it seemed a little anticlimactic. But I am excited for this next part and seeing how things develop because it really left you with your jaw hanging open. Highly recommend this series. The next set of 3 that I read was Akane Banashi. I read volumes 1, 2, and 3. This is a highly anticipated Shonen Jump volume that so many people have asked me to read. I finally decided to read it and I don't know what took me so long. It is such a great story, a great explanation to the world of Rakugo, but our characters are the name of the game here. Our main character is phenomenally written. She has so many great characteristics about her, and I also love her interactions with the other characters. I love the progression in these first 3 volumes, how they just dive right into the nitty-gritty of Rakugo, but also creating this world that's like tournament style. It's very sport-like, and you're just so engaged to what happens next to our characters as they're navigating this world and going through these Rakugo battles. It is just so unique for a Shonen Jump series, and I cannot recommend it enough. Continuing on the Shonen Jump train, the next set of 3 we have is Black Clover, volumes 31, 32, and 33. I had these backlogged for quite a while, and I decided to go ahead and dive into these volumes, and I'm super glad that I did. I really enjoyed the wrap up to this arc. I thought that it was really good. This arc I can describe as a setup to the final arc. Volume 33 starts the final arc of Black Clover. Huge twist. I just cannot wait to see where this series goes. I think that this setup to the final arc is fantastic. I think that it has a lot of potential to be something really special. So with that being said, I understand why we had the arc that we just finished. I thought that the arc before this, so in volumes the late 20s, was much better than this one, but I know why we have it because of the setup to the final arc, and I just really think that the action sequences were very well done. The only complaint that I have was that the paneling of it was very confusing, lots of jumping around, so it was really kind of hard to follow some of it, but with that being said, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. The next set of 3 that we have is from 7 Seas. We have Kemono Jihen. I read volumes 6, 7, and 8. If you like Bungo Stray Dogs, but with a younger set of characters, this is going to be the one for you. A fun fantasy supernatural shonen series. I did like how, even though it is stereotypically written with a training arc, I like how the training arc is incorporated into the main storyline. I think that some of the characters in here are definitely stereotypically written. They seem very shallow. There is an arc in these set of volumes that reminds me of Demon Slayer, just stereotypical shonen, which isn't my favorite thing in the world. This one could possibly be on the chopping block. I don't know. There's some aspects of it that I really like the characters, and then there's some aspects of this I don't like, which is like the predictability. The next set of 3 that I read is actually a manhwa. We have The Boxer by JH. I read volumes 3, 4, and 5, and this series is really starting to hit its stride. I thought volume 1 was okay, and then volume 2 really perked my interest, but these 3 volumes really showed off what this series was about. Great action, some great character development, and some really interesting characters that have a lot to bring to the table. We have our main character who's really mysterious, but then we also have our side characters, all these different opponents that also have something really interesting to bring to the table, and I really appreciate the author exploring these different backstories and making us invested into these characters. So yeah, I really enjoy this manhwa series, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. JH is one of my favorite authors of all time. They're the same author who does The Horizon, which is my favorite manhwa of all time. So yeah, highly recommend you check this one out. It's a sports series that has a lot of cool things to offer. The next set of 3 I read was from Kodansha. We have Blue Period. I read volumes 11, 12, and 13. I took a little bit of a hiatus from this series because I didn't really like how the last arc was going. Volume 10 was like so I just kind of took a break, but I'm really glad that I dove back into this series because this arc, or the subsequent arcs in these 3 volumes, really kind of showed off what Blue Period was all about and why I love this series so much. What I really enjoy about these 3 volumes are how different the arcs are. It moves away from the schooling and goes into some different things, which I think is really, really great. A really refreshing change of pace for the series. But of course, alongside this, we get some phenomenal character development and some really, really cool scenarios. And of course, with art, there's a lot of educational aspects in this manga. I just really, really enjoyed it, and I have a total new love for this series. And last up in the set of 3, I read a complete series from beginning to end, Soloist in a Cage, volumes 1 to 3. This series is a dystopian thriller following these 2 kids who are trying to escape this prison. All these prisoners live within this dystopian city walls, and they cannot leave. There's a lot of security going on. Some things happen, and then we get into the main crutch of the story, trying to survive in this crazy area. The series starts off super strong. Lots of great engagement in chapter 1, setting up this world, but also combining it with lots of crazy action as well. The artwork is dark and gritty. The characters are interesting and mysterious. And then we get into the rest of the series, and that's where a couple of decisions that were made me scratch my head. Every arc in this series continues to get bigger and bigger. It reminded me a lot of The Horizon, actually, with how it was written. But my problem was that they pulled this card, and I don't really like how when they pull this card in manga, and I call it the coincidence card. Too many things just fell into their laps, too many coincidences, and it just all kind of like put the puzzle pieces together. And for me, I just don't like that kind of storytelling because it just takes me out of the immersion of the story. I'm not saying that this is a bad story, and I'm not saying that this doesn't keep you on the edge of your seat. I just feel like there's some choices made in the story that make you kind of go, okay. So do I recommend this series? I do. Is it worth a reread? Probably not for me. I'm probably going to sell this off, but I did enjoy what I did read. These next set of series are not part of the set of 3, but they all have some variety of numbers in their series that I read. First up, we have Golden Kamuy, however you want to pronounce it. I read volumes 28, 29, 30, and 31. So this finishes the series for me. In a long journey with this series, I have thoroughly enjoyed every volume that I read. I'm so sad that it's over, but I am happy to say that the conclusion to this series was very well done and very satisfying. I thought there were some aspects in these last 4 volumes that were kind of pointless. It kind of took too long, and then we got away from really the main story. But of course, the action was insane. The final kind of arc was nuts, and I loved how all the different characters kind of came together, all their stories came together and wrapped up very nicely with no loose ends. There was definitely some info dumping near the end because obviously they're trying to go on the twist, like what is actually going on or how things came to be. And it got too info dumpy, so I was like, whoa, what is going on? Especially because this is historical fiction. There's a lot of names going around that you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with all this. But with that being said, if you can navigate it, read through it slowly, you'll be able to understand it and you'll be able to enjoy the ending for what it is. Golden Kamuy is one of my favorite series in my collection. Definitely one I'm going to keep and definitely one I want to reread in the future. The next series is a start to a series, the first 2 volumes of a rom-com series by the same mangaka as Cheeky Brat, one that I dropped so I had some hesitations, but I'm actually really glad that I read this. This is Stray Cat and Wolf, volumes 1 and 2. The story follows this musician guy who takes in this high school runaway girl, and yes, it is an age gap. Yes, there's definitely some red flag moments in this series, just kind of like Cheeky Brat, just some things that kind of push the boundaries of what we think is acceptable here in the United States. But with that being said, I really do enjoy the relationship. I think that the dynamics between the main characters are really interesting. I actually do like the story and how it's centralized around music. That's a very interesting aspect. I like the character design. I love the paneling and the way that it's structured. And I also like the pacing of this relationship. It moves really really, really fast, and so that's interesting to see. I love all the twists and turns with this series. I think the storytelling is very well done. So yes, I'm very curious to see where this series goes. It's not going to be for everybody, I'll just say that, because there's so many red flag kind of taboo things to American culture. But with that being said, it is a shoujo series that I still thoroughly enjoy reading. On the opposite of starting a series, we have a completion to a series here. Volumes 11 and 12 of Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, and it was a good ending. And this series is not something that's gonna blow you out of the water, but it does everything right. It's like in baseball when it's like low and over the plate and you're just hitting a double to left field. You're pretty satisfied with it. The ending wraps itself up very well, very wholesome. There's a lot of great character relationships, a lot of great character development. The episodes are interesting enough. Is this something that I'm going to keep in my collection? Absolutely not. As of yesterday, actually, I already sold the series off, so I'm going to ship it after this video. I'm shipping it to the new owner. but with that being said, I think that this was worth a read. Definitely one that I'd probably just read online, not worth to collect physically. But if you're looking for a good rom-com series that isn't gonna like peeve you off with how it's kind of addressed to you, then this is the one for you. The rest of the volumes here are all single volumes that I read this month. First up, we have Beastrings. This is a one-shot set with different short stories compiled into this one Beastrings world. I thought it was interesting, but a lot of missed potential. The series spread itself way too thin. Not enough character development, not enough investment into these individual stories, and compiled with an anticlimactic ending. I thought that this was just okay at best. I feel like if they had just focused on one of these 4 stories, it could have been something really, really interesting, but they didn't, and so that's why this doesn't get the highest rating for me. I think I gave it like a 5 out of 10. I'm not keeping this in my collection. Next up is volume 2 of Ice Guy and the Cool Girl. This was not great. I actually dropped the series. I did not enjoy volume 2. It was a total slog to get through. I hate the new characters that were introduced in here. It just makes no sense at all. I feel like the shtick is already getting old. I have no investment into our main characters, so that's why I'm dropping this series, which is too bad because I had heard so many great things about this series, and it just is a swing and a miss for me, but that's okay because that's what manga is all about. Next up is a new series. I think it's a 4-volume series actually, so this is volume 1 of God Bless the Mistaken, and this was really, really cool. The story follows our 2 characters who explore these phenomena called bugs. These are things that infect the world and change the perception of the world for an extended amount of time, and it's up to them to kind of see how humans adjust to these different bugs, these different phenomena that happen in the world. I love the sci-fi aspect of it. I love how every chapter is a different thing, so it's an episodic manga. It's just really, really cool. I like our characters, but more so, I love the variety of the bugs. They're all so interesting, and it's really interesting to see how our characters interact with this world. A sci-fi series I can get behind, and with this being a short series, I cannot recommend it enough. I think this is going to be something really special. Next up is volume 4 of Insomniacs After School, one of my favorite romance series currently publishing right now. This is great. Okay, I don't need to talk about Insomniacs After School. Great relationship, great progression, another great volume, another great series that takes the world and uses it to its advantage with these insomniacs starting an astrology club. I cannot recommend this series enough. It is super, super wholesome. Next up is a manga adaptation here, volume 2 of Saint. No, I'm just a passing beast tamer, the invincible saint, and the quest for fluff. This is cute enough. It just follows this girl who has the ability to be a saint, which is like the most powerful being in this world, but she just wants to be a beast tamer so that she can pet all the fluffy things. The shtick is interesting. Actually, this wraps up the first events of the light novel of the first volume, which is great. I don't know how this shtick is going to keep going. I'm interested to see. I think that it's fun enough. Definitely a turn your brain off read. Is it something that I think that you should invest your money in? Only if you're a big fan of dumb fantasy series just like this. Otherwise, go ahead and pass it up. I think there's better things out there. Next up is volume 3 of Call the Name of the Night, and I thought this volume was just okay. I feel like it was very anticlimactic compared to the first 2 volumes. The twists and the turns, the mystery, it just felt like we were going up this roller coaster and then we just kind of flatlined. The MC progression seems very basic. This is actually only a 5-volume series from what I heard, so I am curious to see how this wraps up. I'm loving these shorter series from Yen Press, so we'll see. I mean, I'm just gonna kind of chalk this up to being a mid-series volume lull. Here we are with an older manga here. We have Bat Kid from Bubble Zines. This is putting all the chapters together of the original Shonen baseball manga Bat Kid that serialized between 1947 and 1949. Thought it was a very interesting look into what post-war children's manga was. It's very, very fun, really goofy. Does it age very well? Not necessarily. It's definitely a very interesting history piece and a great conversation piece to have with your friends who are also involved in manga. It's very cool to have this physically, but if you're not like me, a total manga weeb, I don't recommend you pick this up. You're just gonna be like, I wish I was reading something else. Next up is a shoujo series by Mika Yamamori and the Clear Moonlit Dusk, Volume 6. A beautiful volume, beautiful artwork, beautiful character progression. This series just does everything right for a shoujo series. It is just so well done. The pacing is why I love Mika Yamamori so much. She just writes really good stories that move well, and our characters continue to develop in every single volume and chapter. So yes, this is one of my favorite series from her. I definitely like this the most in the 3 kind of that she has: Daytime Shooting Star, Tsubaki-cho Lonely Planet, and this. So if you are looking for a series by her, check this one out. And last but not least, we have To Your Eternity Volume 18. This series is on the fence for me, and this volume solidified it for me. I am not picking up any more of this series. I am so disappointed with the modern arc and what this series has become. It has become everything that I didn't want this series to be. I hate this new direction that we have taken. I feel like in this specific first arc of this new era, we're just running around in circles. The way that this arc wrapped up in this volume was really put the worst taste in my mouth. I was like, this is so stupid, and I am so disappointed, because if the series was just volumes 1 to 12, this would be a 10 out of 10 series for me. One of the best pieces of fiction ever written. And then we get to volumes 13 to 18 and you're just like, what the hell is going on? What a disgrace to see this series turn out the way that it did, and I'm just not collecting any more of it. And that is it for my manga reading log for March 2024. April is shaping up to be something really special. I am on spring break currently, so I am reading, and I just cannot wait to show you guys what I've been reading, because I am starting some amazing things. As always, if you enjoy the content of my videos, make sure you hit that like button, tap the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.